Five straight L's for the New York Jets. They dropped to 4-8 on the season. Their playoff hopes expiring. The Aaron Rodgers dream dead. We're going to get into all of it here on the show. Tankathon, players, and an apology to Garrett Wilson. All that coming up on the show. Without further ado, let's roll.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field Gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Aaron Rodgers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor Gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to our postgame show, which is about 2 hours after every single contest. We're reacting to the New York Jets' 13-8 loss, gross, against the Atlanta Falcons. A field goal, a safety, a couple of combination of points, and another game without a touchdown for the New York Jets. Unfriggin' believable, disgusting, and it all. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We're streaming live right now on the Heavy on Jets Facebook page to over 40,000 New York Jet fans. God bless all of you for consuming all the content and being involved. We appreciate you. YouTube.com/BoyGreen25. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel, get closer and closer to 6,000 subs. So all the support is greatly appreciated. And on Twitter as well, @BoyGreen25. Wow, this team sucks, man. Golly, it is tough covering this team. Unfriggin' believable. Just a disgusting, putrid effort. A quarterback change, but it didn't matter. Tim Boyle stinks. Trevor Siemian missed throws. Oh, boy. The offensive line collapsing at the worst possible times. And Garrett Wilson. This is where I want to start today's show. This is where I'd like to start today's show. I want to apologize to Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is who I would like to apologize to. And you may be asking yourself why. I can't believe this stat. Garrett Antonio Wilson. I want to pull up his middle name too. Garrett Antonio Wilson. I would like to apologize to you, sir. Why, you may ask? Here it is. Here's the stat. When Trevor Siemian entered the game for the New York Jets, he became the 7th different quarterback that Garrett Wilson has had to work with in 2 seasons. And obviously, there are still games left to go in this season. But Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Tim Boyle, Chris Streveler, Mike White, Joe Flacco, and the aforementioned Trevor Siemian. Good Lord. I apologize, Garrett Wilson, that this man has won Offensive Rookie of the Year with these disgusting people throwing him the football. And hell, I'll have to see the updated numbers after this game. He finished with 3 catches for 50 yards. So I'll have to do the math on that. We won't do that live here on the show. But whether or not he's still on pace to crack 1,000, he was prior to this game. Still on pace despite this in front of you. This is just sad, man. And like I said, I apologize to Garrett Wilson because this is unacceptable. In a season and a half and more, he has been forced to play with 7 different quarterbacks, but there's a commonality among all of them that they can't get the ball to Garrett Wilson consistently. So Garrett Antonio Wilson, I apologize, good man. That is something that I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemies. So I apologize, Garrett Wilson. You deserve better. You absolutely deserve better. And I wouldn't blame you if you wanted better. And I think a lot of us are hoping that Aaron Rodgers can be this elixir. He will not be this elixir this season. At 4-8, while mathematically, technically still alive, we all know the Jets are dead as far as it pertains to the playoffs and as it pertains to a potential Aaron Rodgers comeback, because really the only chance the New York Jets had is winning this game against the Falcons and next week against the Houston Texans. And then all of a sudden, it's possible. You're like, okay, they're at 6-7. Maybe if you squint, you could see it, where Aaron Rodgers would be healthy enough where the Jets are still kind of vying for something, but that is clearly not the case. Absolutely not the case. The Aaron Rodgers dream is dead, and the Jets' playoff hopes are dead. And it feels terrible because we were hyping up this season to an unbelievable level, and for good reason, for what this could be, but yet another Debbie Downer as far as that's concerned, which let's immediately throw this up on the screen. I know this always angers people. But the Tankathon 2024 NFL draft order, the Jets improved. They're now 7th. If the NFL draft started today, 7th overall in terms of the Tankathon. As it currently stands, as we're doing this live on the show, Tampa Bay is playing right now against Carolina. If they lost, I believe they would leapfrog the Jets and kick them back to eighth place because of strength of schedule. But if Tampa Bay wins, and the Jets should stay at 7, and then they do play 2 teams that are ahead of them before the season's over, and that is Washington, who has the same amount of wins. So if the Washington beat the Jets, they would creep forward. And the New England Patriots, who are 2-10, they now jump to 2nd overall with Arizona at 3-10. We'll see how that one finishes, obviously, as well. So that is the look at Tankathon, because with the playoffs over, that is what we're currently looking at for the New York Jets as some sign. And it feels terrible to be talking about tanking and losing and L's and crap and garbage. But quite frankly, that's where we're at. And Perion Winfrey, man, I was so excited about that kid. Thought he could get some ops here coming up. Thought he could get some ops, get some chances through the rest of the year. But he's out for the season with a foot injury. And Salah said really bad, pretty bad is how it looks for Perion. CJ Uzama and MCL, he could be done for a while. We'll get the official word on that tomorrow. So injuries galore, ineptitude offensively. The defense having some moments, but, you know, they hold them to 13 points. You can't really nitpick anything the defense did. It's just, man, it's the same song and dance seemingly on a week-to-week basis. If you guys would like to vent, if you guys would like to react, the Cam 631 Laser video hotline is pinned to the top of our YouTube link here, our YouTube comment section. Again, the Cam 631 Laser hotline. They're the sponsor of this Boy Green postgame show. If you can think it, he can make it. Challenge coins, knives, business cards, pens, license plate frames, cars, motorcycle parts, you name it, he could do it. There's the info. Email cam@631laser.com or call 631-31-LASER. He is a supporter of the show and a diehard Jets fan, so make sure you guys show your support. We'll actually be sending out some gift packages this week. We have a couple of bundles to send out in the mail with the holiday season happening here. So we will be doing some of that as well. So looking forward to some of that coming up here on the show this week. A couple of thoughts here. So Tim Boyle stinks. He gets benched. He was just god-awful. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. He couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. It was just unacceptable levels of ineptitude of not being able to find Garrett Wilson, who was wide open throughout this game, and he just couldn't hit him. He didn't hit him, and he didn't even try. There was a couple of moments, one-on-one, give him a chance, let it rip. Boyle, in the post-game conversation in the locker room, says the coaching staff told them to let it rip this week. Let's be a little willy-nilly. We need to do something. And despite that message from the coaching staff, Tim Boyle did butt kiss. And see ya, he gets ejected. Not ejected like by the refs, although he should have been for that putrid level of play he put those Jet fans through. He gets removed from the game. Trevor Siemian comes in with about 13 minutes and change left in the fourth quarter, and it didn't seem to matter. So, boy, oh boy. For me, the Jets were on a 6-game losing streak to end the year last year. It was disgusting. It was ugly and everything. And, you know, the big change was Mike LaFleur. Mike LaFleur gets thrown outside. You bring in Nathaniel Hackett, who has been worse, obviously. Historically inept, one of the worst offenses we've ever had the displeasure of seeing ever. I mean, just terrible. And now the Jets are on a 5-game losing streak right now. And the way they've played, who are they going to beat the rest of the way? I know I claim to be the optimistic Jets fan, but come on, people. Let's look at this schedule together here. They play the Houston Texans at home next week. Oh boy. At Miami, they just dropped a 45-burger on Washington, who the Jets play the following week. So Washington at Cleveland, short week. Yikes. And then at New England, who sucks, but they've been smacking around the New York Jets for 15 in a row or something. I don't see another win on the rest of the schedule because the Jets have shown nothing in their own capabilities to prove that they can win, even a game that you're like, Commanders, maybe, New England, maybe, but with how they've played, you have no confidence in any of this. That's how poorly the New York Jets have played. That is how poorly they've played. So if the Jets lose out in the way that I believe ultimately that they will, that would be a 10-game losing streak to end the season for the New York Jets. Yes, Zariah, I'm upset about it too as I hear you yelling from the other room in disbelief. Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah, terrible. And I think it might be time for change. I know people want to run it back with Saleh, run it back with Hackett, run it back with Douglas, run it back with everybody. That's what people want to do, and run it back with Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not saying get rid of Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying that at all. However, I think when you have this level of ineptitude and this level of shoulder shrug emoji, I don't know the answer to these problems that are happening. Well, then there needs to be heads need to roll. There needs to be a bloodlust that needs to be satisfied here. I think it's time to start having some of those conversations. We've talked about it over the last couple of weeks, the Dolphins Black Friday game, obviously, among others. And I think it's just time to make some changes, because make some changes. And like I said last week, make Aaron Rodgers a part of some of those conversations. Make him a part of some of those changes that we can have. That's how bad this is. The Jets, according to Tankathon. So first off, I said I don't see a win on the rest of the schedule. So that would leave them obviously at 4 wins. So as I take a peek at Tankathon, if Washington beat them, they'd leapfrog them. If New England beat them, we'd have to see what else would happen in terms of strength of schedule. New England's at 532 strength of schedule. Jets are at 520, which means that if New England and the Jets were tied record-wise, the Jets would leapfrog the New England Patriots. So that part of the equation could help them with a couple of these. They have the tiebreaker currently over Arizona, Washington. The only teams they don't are the Giants and Chicago. Also Tampa Bay, like I said, if they end up beating Carolina, that will no longer matter. But those other teams, they are losing that strength of schedule. So that will have to just kind of depend how the season ultimately rolls here from that perspective. Good Lord. So I think it might be time to, as my father says here, clean slate, shake it like an Etch-a-Sketch. It may be time. Again, I would keep Aaron Rodgers, and I would do everything in my power to bring him back into the fold. But as it pertains to the head coach, as it pertains to the general manager, as it pertains obviously to the offensive coordinator, all is on the table as far as I'm concerned. Mitch, great question here. Excuse me, let me bring that up on YouTube. What happened to Breece Hall? Great friggin' question. He has been MIA. Just terrible. And I try to explain it. I try to say, what could it be? Because today he had 10 carries for 16 yards. It's a 1.2 yard per average. Here is Breece Hall over the last batch of games. We'll go back to the Eagles game. That seems like a pretty good sample size. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a 7-game sample size from the Eagles game. He's had 39 yards rushing, 17, 50, 28, 23, 25, 16. Is it the ACL? Is it the offensive line being terrible? I mean, I'm not trying to, I know the offensive line hasn't been great. They had a few pieces return actually today. I know he's not Barry Sanders, but boy, it's just every time it feels like a perfect combination of both he not performing well, the offensive line not performing well, and everything. But it's a conversation to have, Mitch. I mean, honestly, let's have the chat because the statistics are terrible. So is it the ACL? What is it? So what is it going to be? All right, let's go to the Cam 631 laser hotline. Like I said, that's available to all of you guys. Feel free. It's the pinned comment on our YouTube channel. If you guys would like to hop on, here it is. We have NY Jets FL joining us here on the show. Let's bring him on. Brother, what's popping, baby? I think you're on mute, actually. You may have to unmute yourself. Let me see.
Sorry,
Yep.
Paul.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, Paul. Sorry. Hey, how are you? I'm usually on the stream in the morning, 7:30. I
Yes,
enjoy
sir.
your show. Paul, everything happens to this team weeks too late.
Mhm.
Zach Wilson should have been benched. Lazard should have been benched. I just don't understand how we can continue with this kind of play. Other teams laughing at us during the game. It's an embarrassment. And I think 4 weeks ago, Saleh should have been fired. I think even with Joe Douglas, and I'm thinking of you need a professional coach in here. We don't need a trainee. We also had a trainee with Mike LaFleur also. That didn't work quite out well either, did it?
True.
So,
First year play caller. Yeah, first time play caller. Yes, sir.
So I mean, it's just we need an experienced coach if we're gonna make this role. And I say you go with Dan Quinn. Try to get Dan Quinn.
Sure. Yeah.
Try to get anybody with a semblance of experience. It's just so frustrating, and I don't know how we're here. It's just we had such a promising outlook on the season.
Mhm.
Our offensive line couldn't stay healthy. That honestly was the big one. But staying with Zach Wilson too long was a disaster. Everybody knew it too. I mean, everybody knew that Zach was a bust, and except for the general manager and the coach.
Apparently. Yeah.
It's frustrating, Paul. I don't know what to tell you. I'll still be on your show at 7:30 in the morning, though.
I appreciate that. That level of dedication, baby. I love the Dan Quinn one, though, because for people who forget, obviously he's doing wonderful things, obviously, with the Cowboys defense, but he took that Falcons team to the Super Bowl and has had success as a head coach in this league, plus as a positional, it's the entire defense, but in a select role as a defensive guy, too. So I think that's a big thing with people that may not want to fire Saleh, is they're afraid that you remove this great defensive wizard, all of a sudden, not only does the offense suck, but now the defense could potentially fall off. But to your point, if you bring in a Dan Quinn, that replaces the defensive moxie with someone who's proven. And then obviously you have to find the offensive yin to that yang. I don't know what that is, but anything's got to be better than Hackett right now. I mean, for Pete's sake.
Paul, also, I am completely open to drafting somebody like Bo Nix, blowing this whole thing up. Get a Bo Nix in here, a Penix. I happen to like Bo Nix. I don't know if he's going to be. We may be a top 5 draft pick. We may be in the top 5 now. I would say this. I don't know how much time I have.
No, as much as you want. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay. I'll stay on for a while.
Yeah. There you go.
Paul, I would even think about trading out of 5, dropping down and getting some picks. Whoever. Now the big thing is, if we are drafting a quarterback, you definitely have to blow it up. You definitely have to go with another direction.
Yeah. Because we're missing, just to let people know from a draft perspective, obviously the Jets don't have their second round pick. That belongs to the Green Bay Packers, the Aaron Rodgers trade. So a trade back to recoup at a minimum that, and God knows what else potentially. I'm for that if they're outside the blue chip. So there's a couple of them, some of the offensive linemen, quarterbacks, depending on your perspective, whether it's Penix, Nix, or even higher potentially. Marvin Harrison's another one. So if you're outside of that group and you're kind of in the no man's land where the difference between blah and blee doesn't seem to be massive from a Jets perspective, yeah, I would certainly entertain it. Hey, more lottery tickets, the better potentially for the Jets. So that part I'm definitely with. I'm definitely with on that. Yeah.
Paul, I'd be interested too. I was saying this on Jake Asman's show.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we could somehow take a look at Justin Fields, because he needs to change the scenery. I mean, I know he could be a fringe starter. I know he'd be a good backup, better than what we have. And I know he'd have to reduce. Oh, sorry. I'm at my place of employment. We actually sell Christmas trees. So
wow, nice.
Festive trees. Paul, 85 degrees here today, Paul.
Wow.
In Florida, selling Christmas trees.
Yeah,
but
what's our weather here in Oswego? That's a good one. Let me see. It is 45 and it's raining. So right now here in New York, but I appreciate that nonetheless, pal.
The other morning here was 39, but this is Florida. 3 days later, it's 85 in the winter. Paul, we have a lot of different ways to go. It's just a matter of, I don't know. Is Woody Johnson even have a pulse at this point? I mean, he's got a
question. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
he didn't. Who did he not hire? It was Salah's the one he didn't hire. He was over. I think Douglas he did, but I think my brain's not working. Salah was the one he didn't because he was doing his other responsibilities across the pond. So no commitment there. And I think they're attached to the hip though. I don't want any of this head coach here, GM here. If you're gonna wipe it, I think you got to wipe it. I don't think we could play around and say, oh, we'll try to keep Douglas to pick another head coach and do this or that. I think either if you're gonna keep him, you got to. I'd get rid of Hackett though, or move him to some other position. But if you're going to keep him, you got to keep him. But if you're going to get rid of him, I say you got to wipe the slate clean. Yeah.
Hackett needs to coach in high school. That's about what he's good for. Okay.
Yes. Maybe
Maybe even ice league, like run the wishbone.
Yeah.
They still run it. There's got to be so many more sophisticated offenses out there than that. That's garbage.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Oh, they stack the box. Every team stacks the box on us, right?
Mhm.
Brees Hall, he's running an 8-man fronts.
Mhm.
Is there any checkdowns in this offense? Do they have the power to say, "Oh, look, I have 8-man in the box. Now what do? Do I run the same play or do I check to whatever the second call is?"
Mhm.
It's so frustrating, Paul. I'm sure you're going out of your mind too.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know
brother,
what
yeah, go ahead.
I'm saying I don't know what else to say, Paul. There's just a myriad of directions we can go, but I would have blown it up 4 weeks ago, and we're fading like we faded last year, Paul. We
Mhm.
started out great, we faded badly, and now we're doing the same thing. I mean, look at
That's
these
the
teams.
part- Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul. No, I was gonna say just real quick.
Yeah.
Like Arizona Cardinals, they're
Mhm.
not fading. They have they're not a great team. They're playing hard. I see a lot of teams playing hard that have bad records. Why are we not? Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah. I'm just going to say that after the 6-game losing streak last year, and right now we're in the middle of a 5-game, and I looked at the math. It could be a 10-game losing streak, which again would be disgusting to be in that position, potentially 4-13. If you're on these historic losing streaks, regardless of what it looks like, maybe they get 1 or 2 more wins. I don't know. I will see. I don't see it right now, but maybe something happens. Like, how can you bring back the same group after those 2 historic things and then say, well, but next year, though, based on what? What silver lining? Is Aaron Rodgers really the magical elixir from just their standpoint of saying, well, for that reason alone, we got to bring them all back? That scares the hell out of me because I don't want to be here again in a year from now if somehow Rodgers gets hurt and we're in the same exact situation. We can't waste all these young guys that are on prime rookie deals. Garrett, Sauce, and I apologize to Garrett at the beginning. Man, there's just so much young talent that we're going to run out of time.
Yeah. Yeah, just wasting another wasted season. That's two wasted seasons with Salah. I mean, I understand injuries happen. We've had bad luck with offensive line getting hurt, but other teams somehow come out of it. They should have moved away from Zach Wilson a lot faster, Paul. That was a cancer to our team. Keeping that guy on, you can bench anybody but him. They benched Lazard way too late. They should have benched Lazard weeks ago.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
I could go on, Paul. Paul, I appreciate you for him.
Yeah, thanks, brother. We'll see you tomorrow morning. We will have Boy Green Daily tomorrow morning at 7:30 with Italy, as it is every Monday. And like I said, we'll also be checking in. Got to get it officially on the schedule, but DJ Bieneme will set you up for Jets Texans later in the week. We've got a couple of other Jets guys. Play Like a Jet. He'll be making his debut here on Boy Green Daily. We have not had him on in a while. Or ever actually on Boy Green Daily on that iteration. So thank you to NY Jets FL for hopping on with us. Guys, feel free to use that. That is the pinned comment on YouTube. If you guys would like to vent, react, share anything you'd like, feel free to do so there as well. And we can bring you there on the show. All right, let's go right back there for our next guy, and that is Joe, who joined us a couple weeks ago. We're going to bring him back on the Cam 631 Laser Hotline. Joe Sif. Oh boy,
Paulie.
Yeah.
Welcome to purgatory, right?
Yeah. Hell. Yeah, this feels like hell. It is hot as hell. And despite it being 40 degrees in New York, it feels like hell. I am sweating bullets. This is a horrible place to be.
Yeah. So this was another one. I think the nice thing is most of us now have just come to the realization that the season's done with. We're not pacing. We're not screaming at the TV.
I still am. I can't remove that part. I'm watching it. And I'm like, so I'm doing a lot of that still. Yeah.
But you know exactly what's coming. right? I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like you're sitting there with hopes and dreams and
I
like
am.
this is the
I
drive.
do it. I
This
do
is the
it.
one that,
I'm gonna be
and
honest. I still
you
do it.
just watch it fizzle. You just
It's
watch
painful.
you watch every drive just
Yeah.
fizzle out of existence.
Mhm.
It's another tough one. No changes are going to happen, and the more that you sit back and think about what's to come, right? And 10 losses to end the season is not likely, but probable
It's
in
possible.
reality.
As you look at the
It,
schedule again, we
yeah,
just had the schedule up, folks.
it's
It's
very probable.
possible when you look at again, there are I think the two games to me that seem winnable and use that as loosely as you'd like, to me, are the Washington Commanders. That's a home game on Christmas Eve. And their offensive line is terrible. They've allowed more sacks than any other team in the NFL this season, although Sam Howell is among the league leaders in passing yards. But again, I trust the Jets defense and secondary in that regard. So that part helps you. But you just had Desmond Ridder, who you held to 125 yards passing, and you still lost. So again, ultimately, it will always fall on the offense to do something. So you have Washington, and then New England at the end of the year, who's terrible, but New England's had your number historically, so it's hard to even say that that's going to get that game's going to be 3-2 probably at the end, which is disgusting.
And we couldn't beat the terrible Patriots already this year. So
that's true. Yeah.
I mean, it's really rough to think about. And then, and I'm going to kind of go to one of the comments here because it's exactly what I'm thinking. Okay. But where do you go from here? And who would want to take this mess on if you did clean house? You're not getting rid of Rodgers. You're and Rodgers isn't going without Hackett. If you get rid of the coach and the GM, who wants to come into the mess that's here and then knowing that they've got to start over again next year? So most head coaches get a 4-year leash, right? I mean, that's kind of your typical, unless you're in Carolina, right? Then it's one and done, or Jacksonville. But most of them, you get 3 or 4 years to kind of prove yourself. You're going to waste a year with hoping Rodgers comes back, taking this job, and then going back into a quarterback hunt and trying to prove yourself in 2 to 3 years that you've got something. Like it's a developmental nightmare.
I look at it somewhat attractive, and I'll tell you why, and feel free to disagree with this. So I think you have at least a year with Rodgers. So okay, here's cleaning house. This is the premise of all of this. Head coach gone, GM gone, Hackett gone, but Rodgers I saw that it sucked, but I'm still coming back, basically, is the Rodgers mentality. So again, new coach, new pitch to the guys. Say, hey, you get Rodgers for a year, maybe 2. Who knows? That's up to you to see if you mesh with him and he wants to stay here for long. So you got a year or 2 of Rodgers. So elite quarterback play in theory with the rest of whatever the hell you want to do. Plus the developmental plan. The Jets quarterback room is going to get a TNT stuck in the middle of the clay, and it's going to explode. Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, Trevor Siemian, outside of Aaron Rodgers, everything else is going to blow up. So you're going to have your chance to throw your dart in the draft, wherever that looks like. I would doubt the first round, but I guess you don't really know with a new coaching staff potentially coming in. So it's probably day 2, your 3rd round pick or a trade back or something, or some other creative avenue to bring in a guy. So you got Rodgers, proven veteran backup. We could look through the names at some point this week, I'm sure. And then rookie. So you'd have basically the competitive rebuild. You'd have Aaron Rodgers for a year. Let's just call it a year for now. You have your developmental guy, and as you're assimilating and moving in a new scheme. So in theory, you're doing the best of both worlds. You're competing with Rodgers, but also thinking 2-3 years down the line of whatever your plan looks like. So from that standpoint, and I'm biased. Obviously, I'm wearing a green New York Jets hat here. But I'd find it somewhat attractive, and especially considering if you win in New York, it means more and all these other things. I think that part's attractive. I would understand, though, being attached to Rodgers, you have to be a Rodgers guy for the job, so that part has to intrigue you. But I would imagine that would intrigue a lot of people with his credentials. So to me, it's kind of attractive to be able to balance both worlds. But I understand your point that there is a lack of conviction of all in or all rebuild, sometimes floating in the middle, as we saw with 2015, 2016 Jets. You have the false hope of, 2015, and then let's run it back 2016, and it's terrible, and then you're in the middle of this funky place. So that part could be a little wayward, but outside of that, I like, the chance of the competitive rebuild of balancing both worlds.
But what I saw up here, chats are going quick, but
very quickly.
Miguel Dominguez, he hit it on the head. Eric Bieniemy, That is the answer. I think that you've got to go. You've got to get away from the defensive coaches,
Sure.
And the defensive mindset, and everything's defense. When the NFL is going offense. I mean, everything in the league is geared towards scoring and offense, and we're geared towards defense and elite defense and stopping everything. And we can't score to save our lives. So I think if you're going to blow it up, you blow it up with somebody who just got done running the Chiefs through playoff after playoff after playoff with a young quarterback, developing a young quarterback. And even in Washington, they're still, like you said, sacked a lot, but guess who's leading the league in passing?
Sam Howell.
They are. So Sam Howell. Yeah, Sam Howell is. So you bring Eric Bieniemy in as your coach with Aaron Rodgers for a year, and then, man, you take your pick of the litter for who your quarterback is after that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I think that you have to go. You can't go with another defensive-minded coach. I mean, we just see it fail over and over again. And Adam Gase, the exception. The only reason he was the coach was because of Peyton Manning, and that was a disaster. But we need to stop listening to quarterbacks on their coaching recommendations. That's
true. That part
if there's anything you could take from being a Jets fan, that's it. Like Rodgers' recommendation of Hackett and Peyton's recommendation of Gase has been two of the worst things that's ever happened to this franchise. It's just, it's horrendous. But yeah, I mean, going back to the whole thing though, everybody wanted Zach out, and I am a Zach Wilson apologist. You know that.
Yes.
I still believe in him. I think he's going to get out of New York, and I still think he's going to go to a team that can actually make him a quarterback.
By the way, real quick, just on that, so I don't forget, that Saleh was asked, so Zach Wilson, is he in consideration for the quarterback thing? You bench Boyer, you threw Simeon out there, he didn't look great immediately. Like, is he in the conversation or in consideration? So I said, he's always in consideration to be QB1, and I was like, interesting. But he said, to what extent, though? I don't know, not there yet. Although he also said, following the Falcons game, he was, quote-unquote, not there yet on Trevor Simeon, and then Simeon is in the next game. So, you know, in the aftermath of the Dolphins game heading into the Falcons game, I mean. So, Zach Wilson may not be done with the Jets. He may get another. I think he's ultimately done. But, I mean, this season, who knows, in this crazy world of all this terrible quarterback play, he might get back out there. Yeah.
I love that quote that he's always in consideration for QB1, yet he's emergency QB3 for the last 2 games.
Which means he's unavailable unless the first 2 quarterbacks get hurt.
Exactly. So how are you in conversation for 1 when you're not even considered to be on the field? Like that makes
that's a good
point. Yeah, carry the 2. It doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, it's just
that math doesn't matter.
I don't understand that, but I do think the only way forward is to go with Zach, because Boyle showed nothing, and Simeon, he came out with a little bit of flash, but then my God, did he look lost in the sauce? I mean,
the running around, like I was like, what the hell's going on out there? Like you're not fast, like you are Lamar Jackson. Like, okay, cool, but the indecision, then fumble, he got like strip sack like 3 times. I think I don't think it's official yet, but I think he would get a start. So what is it? That's Texans. So potentially he would get the start against the Texans, and then if he's terrible there, so let me reset. I think there's a chance he will get his first start. Remember, he entered at the beginning of the 4th quarter. So he'll get a start somewhere in these final 5 games. But maybe Zach Wilson goes from QB3 to QB2, or maybe Boyle just gets cut because he's terrible. And they're like, all right, we're enough of this. And Zach Wilson gets promoted to QB2. So he's at least there outside of the emergency situation where he'd actually be able to go into the game if they decided to do so. Maybe that's the change we see. Simeon to 1, Zach Wilson from 3 to 2, and then we see, and then maybe eventually Wilson just gets the train at some point, either a mid-game change or like it's so terrible they're like, all right, well, back to Wilson. It's just, oh God, it's terrible.
And you know what, this is what our luck is going to be. And I mean, this I guess would be a great situation to have. But Wilson comes out and just says, you know what, Hackett, go screw yourself. I'm gonna go play football. And he just comes out and just lets it loose, starts running, flinging it downfield. I don't care if I throw an interception because nobody behind me can take my job now. I'm just going to ball out, right? And he just throws it all out there and ends up playing fantastic. And then we're like, crap, what do we do now, right? I mean, that's a great situation to be in, but wouldn't that just be like the ultimate ending to this season where he just comes out on fire, just unstoppable, those Patrick Mahomes like plays we see just develop into more, and then you're like, right now.
That's probably a trade, though, I would imagine. If Zach Wilson balls out, and then it ends up being that trade ticket thing, that so he looks good, then you go to the offseason, and then you convince other dudes, he looked pretty good at the end of the run, and then flip him somewhere because of the Rodgers thing and how it all worked out, and then you're going in a different direction. So that's probably what you'd be hoping for, because the contractual situation, the Jets have to make a decision on his 5th-year option, which is in May. Spoiler alert, that is getting declined. If he's even on the roster at that point to make said decision. So I think that's maybe what you're hoping for from that standpoint. But as it extends to the conversation of who the hell should be playing QB1 right now, he's younger, he can move around a little, and shoot, you've gone every other direction. I doubt it for Houston, but boy, maybe. What would that be? Yeah, let me get my schedule right here. Who would that be? I can't even remember our schedule. Yeah, who's after? What's that? December? I don't even know. Whoever the hell the Jets play after that. Yeah. What's the
Houston?
What's the Jets
somebody
schedule?
in Washington. So
that's right. Yeah. So
who's our somebody?
Yeah, who's our somebody? I can't. I know Cleveland's coming up, but I think that's at the end of the season.
Take a look. We've got Miami.
Oh yeah. How could I
Houston,
possibly
Miami,
forget?
Washington.
Yeah, you're right. So.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know, but
yeah.
at this point, the season's over. Rodgers isn't coming back.
Mm-hmm.
You can't keep putting Boyle and Simeon out there after what you saw. So I don't know. The offense is a train wreck. This whole season's the absolute worst of all time. And yeah, I can't wait to watch the 30 for 30 on this season when it's all said and done. It's gonna be riveting, must-see TV about how Saleh has no say in what happens. Rodgers running the whole show behind the scenes. Everybody's puppets, and they just have to smile and nod because they sold their soul to Aaron Rodgers, and now he controls everything. So
yeah, Miguel says this. That's a Green Bay mindset of every year they took a dart throw, and then if you're right, it works out no matter what. So if you're right, you get a backup. If you're right, you have an insurance policy. If you're right, then you flip that for another pick, and then you do it all over again on a year-to-year basis. So I'm not mad at people who do that. And there's a lot of successful organizations in the NFL that do churn out quarterbacks. Yeah, New England did it for a while of
Matt
Ryan
Castle,
Mallett.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Mallett,
God rest Mallett's soul, unfortunately. But, on a couple of these of just dart throws, and Jimmy Garoppolo, who you mentioned, that they ended up trading. So these second, third round guys, develop them, churn them out, or potentially your own future. Again, you have options and things. So yeah, I'm not opposed to that. And the Jets will have to do that because, like I said, the quarterback room is non-existent beyond Aaron Rodgers. So you're going to have to take a dart. And again, I doubt it in the first round unless something crazy and we get some new head coach in here who just wants to be thinking about the future and the Jets are in the right position. I just really doubt it would be quarterback. That would surprise me in the first round. But maybe in the third round, maybe a trade back in the second round, something like that. But I would doubt it at the top of the draft. That part of the equation would certainly surprise me. But hey, you never know, I guess. We're only in early December right now, so there's a few months before that draft decision.
Michael Penix Jr. potentially later.
I love him. He's wicked talented. I don't know how it's all going to shake out. Obviously, there's still more to be figured out, the college football playoff and all that, but he's probably one of my favorites. And he has a wild injury history, which you guys can look into. So like that part will scare any doctor, I'm sure, on the planet. But man, the talent, oh man, that kid can throw a pigskin. That's for sure.
Could drop him down the draft though and make him available later on. So.
Yeah, let's see. All right, we just got a YouTube super chat in. So, by the way, this is also available, guys, if you'd like to support the show, from Cam631 Laser. He's a member of the Boy Green Super Fan Club. He gives super chats. He's a sponsor of the show. I just really appreciate the support, him chiming in here. First down run, second down sack, third down miss, pass, or interception. If I know this crap, so does the other defensive coaches. Yeah, and even a few times, like, I just didn't get it. The one time that they tried to mix it up and do, like, play action on first down, I'm like, ooh. And then, like, either Tim Boyle had protection and decided to do nothing with it and just dirt it or dump it out or, again, just throw it out of bounds. I'm like, what in God's green earth? But the majority of the time, you're right, Cam, that it was his first down run, predictable. It's 1st and 10. So you're on 1st and 10, you run it. Then it's 2nd and 10, 2nd 11, 2nd and 12. Ugh. Then second down, you get sacked. It's 3rd and long. And then you're like, oh, boy. And then they always throw it short of the sticks. Oh, my God. That's the most annoying thing in the world. What kind of unserious offense are you that you throw some short, dinky, mid-screen and then you just kind of run around a little bit. We're 7 yards short. Then, like, for God's sakes, throw it beyond the sticks to try to get a PI, try to do something, be beyond the sticks, because if they catch it, for the love of everything that's holy, that's a potential first down. Like, geez, aloo. I just don't understand it, and they do it all the friggin' time. So friggin' annoying. So Hackett does a lot of stuff that's annoying, but that is near the top of the billing. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. You know what was really great, too, is when Simeon came in. I don't know if you caught this.
Yeah.
But he scrambled and did that head first dive where he was like, where he was intending to get the first down, but came up like 2 yards short. And all I could think was like Willie Mays Hayes sliding into second and coming up like 3 feet short of the base. And
I was impressed because that was 1st and 10. So he just said Lazard was there in the flat. He was like, in his head, he was probably like, there's a chance he could drop that. Screw this. I'm taking matters into my own head. And then doing the Superman dive, when you do the quarterback slide, as soon as you start to slide, you're dead.
That's where you're
so then you lose yardage. So for him to headstrong think, here I go, Superman, and dive in, I was like, 8 yards on first down. Okay, I am not familiar with that kind of production on offense. Very nice, Trevor Simeon. But
it was good, but his face when he popped up and like looked down the sideline to be like, I got that first down. Dang, I'm not close. I just thought that was like that was just epic to watch and be like, yep, I got that first. I'm not even close to that first down.
It's it's been a lot of bad Trevor. This year.
But it was good to see. It was good to see. We'll see what happens with it. But thanks for having me on. I don't want to stay on too long. You probably got other people. So I'll be in and out, but good to talk to you. And
of course,
we'll ride out the rest of the season.
That's right, Joe. And a quick plug, by the way, Fantasy Slant. Give it to everybody.
Slant. Yep, Fantasy Slant, Sunday mornings or afternoons, depending on where you live. Hour before game time, jump on, ask your fantasy questions. We're always giving great advice on who to start, unless it was this week when I said go ahead and start Tank Dell, and then he gets rolled up on and goes out. But it was with good intentions, and I think it would have worked out well. Barring injury, we give really sound sage advice. So come check us out, chat with us about all the big things every Sunday morning, and we'll help you win.
All right. Beautiful. Thanks, Joe. Joe joining us here on the show. Again, this is the post-game show. Make sure if you haven't already, like the video on YouTube. Also, hit subscribe. We're trying to get to 6,000 subs. We've been hovering around the same place for a while, so any love and support you guys could give would be much appreciated. Again, if you guys would like to jump on the show, feel free to do so. That is pinned comment on the top of YouTube. That is the Cam 631 laser hotline. If you have a rant to give, you want to talk draft, you want to react to the Jets Falcons game, anything you want to get on your mind, is it time to fire some people? Make sure you let it be known. I'll be going through the comment section as well, but those are a couple of ways to do it. The YouTube Super Chat feature guarantees that your comment skips a queue. Like I said, also the pinned comment on YouTube is our video link to join the show. All you need to do is be in a quiet place, relatively speaking, and I see the camera on. You'll jump in my green room down below on the screen, and then I can see you and try to bring you on the show. Mitch says Penix is awesome. Yeah, there is a couple of talented kids. This quarterback class looks a lot of fun, but like I said, I'm just curious to see who slips where, who goes where. Again, still much to be answered from that perspective with the college football playoff rapidly approaching there as well. All right, Flacco's put up 250. I was kind of joking, but not really. So, like, Joe Flacco was having some success. Obviously, the show's like normally an hour, but Joe Flacco was putting up some numbers. I'm like, whoa, the days we miss Joe Flacco? Here we are. Like, he's a friggin' statue, that guy. But, man, he's a former Super Bowl MVP, veteran guy. I just did not know I'd be so yearning for the days of Joe Flacco and Mike LaFleur. But here we are from that perspective. Felipe here on our YouTube. I'm done with Hackett. Nothing will improve without a proper OC. You're right. The Hackett's terrible. And to be honest, Robert Saleh, like, threw his quarterbacks basically under the bus in the postgame. Connor Hughes asked him straight up, hey, man, you've really changed everything. You've changed players. You've changed the location of Hackett. You've changed lineups and all kinds of things. But the only thing you haven't touched yet is offensive coordinator, the play call. So why are you not doing it? And Saleh laughs, pauses for 5 seconds, and goes, well, when you see the all-22, I think you'll know. And what Saleh is challenging the media members is watch the tape after this game, and you will see open guys, and it's the quarterback not delivering the ball. Now, he didn't say that directly, but he said, watch the tape, basically. And I think so he seemingly credited Hackett saying, hey, he wasn't that bad today. But here's the thing. The quarterbacks are not delivering the ball. If it's not one thing, it's the other. The penalties, the Jets were wildly undisciplined today, although I thought the officials were god-awful. They were way too involved in this game, but I'm not blaming the officials in another Jets loss. Eventually, you got to sack up. You can't just – it's almost like when you're in a situation on the football field and you get whacked and you kind of try to flop for the penalty as opposed to just trying to box out, trying to make the play. Like, the Jets can't whine and cry foul as the reason they're losing these games. They need to step up to the plate and seize the day. When you don't score a touchdown, hell, that stuff's going to happen to you. But yeah, Hackett's been so terrible, it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel saying, hey, wait a second, baby. Wait a gosh darn second. Now we can see the positivity. Now we can see the optimism. We can see the path. We can see all that crap. It's hard to see right now. It is dark. We are in the darkness. Pun intended. That's for sure. Jerry says the Jets should probably be banned from drafting quarterbacks. Let's be honest here. Yeah, it's a horrible history of Christian Hackenbergs, Bryce Petty, Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold's, and all these guys. But you got to keep, just chopping the wood. Just got to keep hacking. Also pun intended there. Just got to keep kind of, whacking the wood and see what happens. Let's try to get here the latest comments in here. Keep them coming. Wherever you guys are watching, feel free to do so. Co says the first 2 picks of draft better be offensive line. Yeah, again, as I currently stand, the Jets have the 7th overall pick. Let me refresh Tankathon to make sure, because there's a couple of games we're watching out for. Let me refresh the NFL scores too, because like I said, if Tampa, let me see. Yeah, Tampa's up 3, and it looks like that one's going to be official here in a second. So Tampa wins. They will improve to 5-7. So the Jets will maintain their 7th overall pick if that news comes in, if I have this right on my NFL ESPN scoreboard here. So it looks like, is that final in now? Is that official? Is that official? 1 second here. Sorry, this is the live. Yep, it is official. The Buccaneers won. They're 5-7. So the Jets will maintain the 7th overall pick. That will keep Tampa down in that other range that is irrelevant now. So the teams the Jets are tied with, just from a wins perspective, are at the top. Washington, who has the number 4 overall pick, and then Tampa, who just got their 5th. That means the bottom of the barrel is Tennessee with 4 wins. The Jets have a less strength of schedule than them, which is the ultimate tiebreaker. So they're only a few percentage points off the Giants. They're on the bye, so they come back next week. You have Chicago, who's beating them, and then Washington. But like I said, you play, Washington. You play them and New England. So there's still more to be decided there. But the Jets will maintain that 7th overall pick. So as it currently stands, the Jets hang somewhere in this 7-5 range, probably. There's a path to 4 maybe, but we'll see what happens. I'm going offensive line. So either the Notre Dame kid or Penn State kid. Those are the 2 kids I'm looking at offensive line-wise. That's where I'd go. Both of the Jets' top 2 tackles in Dwayne Brown and Mekhi Becton. Both are set to be free agents. Dwayne Brown could probably retire, and who knows if Mekhi Becton's coming back. I'd love to see him back personally. Talented kid. I'd like to see the structure of the contract potentially, but even still, you need as many options as possible. So I'd go offensive line personally. I would. Some people go quarterback, some people wide receiver, which, by the way, would be, Marvin Harrison Jr., that'd be sexy. Pair him with Garrett Wilson. But I think offensive line's got to be a priority, of course, for this New York Jets team. You just gotta figure things out from that perspective. Jose says, put Zach back in to finish the season. We can't score a touchdown. Yeah, why not? Quite frankly, what do you have to lose? Like I said, I think Simeon's going to get a start. And I saw a comment earlier. Someone said, Paul, if you want Simeon to get a start, like, you're an idiot. And it's not that I want him necessarily to get the start. I just think that's a natural order of things. Boyle got his chance to start. He had 2 starts. Simeon hasn't started a game yet. I don't think their evaluation or analysis of Trevor Simeon's going to be like, we threw him in the 4th quarter, you look bad. I think they'd give him a real chance to start. And I'm not saying it would be much better, but I think they will give him that chance. Let's go to Douglas McClure, the YouTube super chat here. Thank you very much, Douglas. That's amazing, baby. I'm beginning to think in the 50-year search for a franchise quarterback, the problem consistently is the franchise and not whatever the quarterback they try. Well, that's a commonality, Douglas, as we highlighted several of those quarterbacks the Jets have completely flopped like a pancake on, that they have been the commonality. There's been different coaching staffs. There's been different managements of general managers, owners. Obviously, there's been a couple of different versions over the 50-plus years. There's no doubt about it. But the one constant is the Jets. And I get that is the answer at this point. But, man, I just hope that eventually we could get the right combination. Like, you think about like a team like Detroit. They have stunk forever. And they got Ben Johnson there cooking up offense. There's a belief in that building. Like, I think it is about getting the right people. I think that is about getting the right people. So I'm not willing to just, again, your fact is correct, Douglas. I can't deny the fact of the Jets being completely inept as it pertains to developing the quarterback, but eventually you got to be right. Right? Probably? I don't know. But interesting nonetheless. Thanks for the super chat, buddy. So YouTube super chats and also the Cam631 laser hotline. If you guys would like to click and join the show visually, feel free to do so as well. Oh, Jimmy's got a comment here on YouTube. Boy Green, do we go after Higgins from the Bengals in the offseason? I think we pick up our receiver in free agency. Personally, I agree, Jimmy, or in some form or fashion, trade, free agency, because here's the options, right? Here are the names. T. Higgins of the Bengals. You got Devontae Adams of the Raiders. That's floating out there in the universe. You got Mike Evans, who's a free agent. There's some names. There's some sexy names. So I think there are creative ways to go get that wide receiver where you don't have to do it in the draft. Again, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a freak. His father played here at Syracuse, a Pro Football Hall of Famer. Like, that would be tantalizing and that'd be tempting. No doubt about it. From that perspective, I do believe. But still, to get T. Higgins, who I think is talented and is phenomenal, he's probably the best option, Jimmy, if we're going to be honest, because he's younger. Let me see what T. Higgins is at. T. Higgins is... I think he's like 24 or something. And he is. So he's 24 years old, but he turns 25 in January. So you have a 25-year-old, right? Devontae is going to be 30-31. Mike Evans is 30-31. So some of those guys are older cats. But T. Higgins is a nice young guy. If you're going to free agency, and everyone's got to overpay in free agency because there's a bidding war of sorts, he'd be a nice guy to get. So I know he doesn't have the direct Rodgers connection, like literally. But I think Rodgers could figure out how to get him the friggin' ball. That's for sure. And by the way, the funny thing is, in that Jordan Love draft, the Packers were going to get T. Higgins, and that would have given Aaron Rodgers his first-round receiver in his Packers history, but they did not. They moved up for Jordan Love instead. So I may be kind of interested in that potential. Very much so. We have Keep It Simple RC. It's been a long time since I've seen you, buddy. Found myself begging for Zach Wilson to come off the bench. Pathetic. Yeah, like I said, I was saying, Joe Flacco? Like, disgusting that we're even talking about this. I mean, absolutely gross. That one is nasty. Mitch says Harrison Jr. will probably go 2 or 3 or maybe even 1. I think he should because he's that talented, a can't-miss prospect, super high floor. Like, he's just a stud. He is plug and play. However, when you think about the quarterback conversation, I think that will sway teams, and I think he will slip further than he should. I think he should go number 1, probably, Mitch. To your point, I think he's a superstar. However, I just do believe that the quarterback craziness will make people make other decisions. But yeah, Marvin should go high. JMG7825. Whatever idiot decided on Vinny Testaverde being the honorary captain on 9/11 instead of old Broadway Joe extended this damn curse. Yeah, that seemed like an odd choice. The Achilles thing and everything. That just seemed like a strange choice. Very bizarre. I don't know who went into that decision, but that person should be fired. Like, what in God's green earth? That was terrible. Who made that decision? We want answers as Jet fans. What in God's green earth? That's terrible. Yeah, I don't know who did that. We need to find that answer very quickly. Very quickly. The Highlander Prime. Trade back for 2 extra picks in order to get 2 O-linemen and a stud receiver. Yeah, like I said, if you're in no man's land, which I don't know where that is right now, we'll get deep. We'll have our mock draft Mondays back this season. this offseason. We'll have some fun draft people on. And we'll, of course, have the Boy Green Deal, which is our daily morning show, if you guys are unaware, every day at 7:30 live. Feel free, guys, to check that out. So like a 20-minute show, snack size. We'll also be talking about all things draft on that show as well. But if you're in the no man's land where you don't get one of those blue chippers, some of those, one of the top 2 tackles, a wide receiver, if you want to trade and allow someone else to do the quarterback, maybe you could get some extra picks. I'm not mad at recouping the second round pick and maybe doing some other damage as well. That stuff to me is certainly on the table. Yeah. Blow it up. We have Ulbrich to interim head coach, get a new OC, trade Rodgers to the Vikings, hire Harbaugh, and draft Caleb. Good Lord have mercy. Wow. Ulbrich does deserve some head coaching looks. We'll see if he gets them. I don't know if they Woody Johnson and his regime, remember he's been here since 2000, they have not fired people in season. So if they didn't do it to Adam Gase, they won't do it to Robert Saleh. That would surprise me. So that's not their cup of tea. So I don't anticipate that. Although Ulbrich does deserve looks on his own. The OC thing, maybe give Todd Downing a chance. He's a guy who's called plays. He's in that offensive room. I do not believe Rodgers is getting traded to the Vikings. That would be funny, but not funny for the Jets. I'd love to see Rodgers play here, actually. Harbaugh is interesting. There's been the forever connections to Woody Johnson, so that one would be tantalizing. Caleb, I just don't know if they're going to be in Caleb range. But if you took a Caleb, you're really shifting the philosophy of this regime. That's for sure. Trying to, again, just completely reset, which I could understand why a lot of people are for. More than a decade of unmitigated offensive failure. Yeah, the only other one, of course, was my brain's not working. 2015, of course. Fitzpatrick you had, who was record-breaking. You had Chris Ivory, was a 1,000-yard rusher. You had Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall were 1,000-yard receivers. The defense had our last 10-plus sack pass rusher. Well, not our last one, because Quinton was 12 last year, but like the last one since last year, which was Muhammad Wilkerson. So, yeah, there was outside of that, though, it's been disaster. So that random 2015 year that none of us saw coming, that was there. Disgusting. Terrible. But good call out, Wesley. Good call out. Yep, Jimmy, that's how I feel. Again, the Penn State kid or Alt, the Notre Dame kid. Offensive line. That's where I want to go. Yeah. We need to center another guard. Maybe his depth. I like Joe Tippmann at center. You like him there. Let's see. So Lakin's probably back as a contract. AVT, is he guard or tackle? That's a question they have to answer. But you need a lot of answers. Carter Warren looked okay. We'll have to see the analytics from PFF and some of the other places to see what he could do. Could he be at the very least a key backup? Penciled in starter seems aggressive right now, but I'm not bad. I'm not mad about offensive line aggression. That's for sure. Not mad at that. All right, let's get a few more in here, and then we'll sign off on the show. Some new comments coming in. Not sure that New York is a good fit for Harbaugh. Yeah, I mean, you would have to and that's part of, again, I mentioned if you're firing Saleh, you got to fire Douglas too. Harbaugh, I imagine, to come to the pros, I think he's going to want, full control. I think full control. And real quick, I will answer Co real quick. I wanted to join the show. How do I do it? It is the pinned comment on our YouTube channel. So if you're on YouTube, you should see a comment that's lit up. It says the Cam 631 Laser Hotline. Click that link, and it should put you on hold, and I can pick you up from there. So it is the pinned comment on YouTube. You should see it. I'll actually also do this right now. I will copy the invite link, and I will drop it in there right now for anyone that would like to join the show. So it is now pinned. I just dropped it back in there on YouTube. So you guys should be able to see that link. Click and join it, Co. Would love to have you on the show, pal. So feel free. Back to the other question, though. So Charles, as we wait for Co to potentially join the show before we sign off. Charles, not sure that New York is a good fit for Harbaugh. Again, I think Harbaugh is going to want full football control. And based on the lack of success for the Jets over the last 13 years, 13-year active playoff drought, which is the longest active playoff drought in the NFL and all of North American sports, maybe it is time to hand the keys over to him and just, see what he can do. Again, I am open to those conversations. I am absolutely open to those conversations. Keep it simple says, OT or wide receiver or trade down for a haul. All that is fine with me. Co wants to move on from ABT's injury prone. He is injury prone, but I anticipate them accepting the 5th-year option on his contract, which is coming up in May. He is injury prone, but you just got to hope that there's some early injuries in his career and he can bounce back from that. That's what you have to. All gas, no gauge. Paul, I'm disgusted with capital letters, and as am I. I am absolutely disgusted with what we've seen, pal. It is terrible. Charles M says, as long as we don't sign Bakhtiari, we could. I think we talked about that maybe on the morning show today. I can't remember where we talked about that on one of these damn shows. And I wouldn't sign him as like, hey, we're signing him. He's clearly our starter. I would not be in that camp, but as depth and a Rodgers guy, sure. Join the club for veteran minimum or something cheap. He's just had too many injuries to rely on. Coach says we should have signed Robbie Anderson. I can't remember if he's a free agent or the Dolphins brought him back, but he was hanging out there for a second. Keep it simple. RC is not for the Saleh firing talk. Vince Lombardi couldn't win with this pathetic quarterback play, which again goes to Joe Douglas, who he's the one who grabbed the ingredients at the restaurant, pal. But I think they're attached. I think it would be a bad business to fire Douglas and allow Saleh to hang around as this coach that is forced upon another general manager. I just don't think that's good for business. So you need to have a clean slate where head coach and GM are on the same playing field. Too often in Jets land, we've had a head coach on this timeline and a GM on this timeline. We need to fix that crap. I don't think we can have that. I think that's bad for business to have happen. All right, Co has figured it out, baby. We got the cameras live on that, baby. So let's bring him on the gosh darn show. He's always interacting on all these shows, so it's about time he makes his freaking debut here, baby. And let's bring him on the Cam 631 Laser Hotline. Co, what's popping, man?
Hey, Paul, what's up, man?
Yeah, what's up,
piggyback off what you said.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the whole, I'm on the show. Hold on, I'm on the show. Sorry.
That's okay.
But, you know, I like Carter Warren. I watched him play in college. Like he's gonna eventually, you know, develop into the tackle that we need. I think we got to move on from ABT. I liked him coming out of USC, but you only as good as you are on the field. He hasn't been on the field for 2 straight years. You know, and I think maybe it can be him playing out of position for the most part.
Be. Yeah.
Like keep him at guard. The guy if he plays strictly guard, he's a star. He's all pro, hands down.
I agree.
I give high praise on this dude. I believe Tittman should kick into center, move on from McGovern.
Yep.
And draft, you know, let's get Alt or let's get Fashanu from Penn State.
Yes.
I got a chance to meet him because my little brother was at Penn State spring game. He's like an upcoming prospect.
Yeah. What did you think of him? What did you think of him?
The guy's a star. You know, he could have came out last year.
He should have. He would have been a top 3 pick or something.
Easily,
Unbelievable.
Easily. I got a chance to meet his mother. His mother said, well, you know, my baby is still young. He was only 18, 19. I don't think he was ready for NFL locker room yet. So
fair.
Because my little brother, he got a scholarship from Penn State. You can look him up. He's Larry Samuel. He the guy's cold.
Can we get him? Is he available to jump on the Jets? Huh?
I wish because I would be like, yo, listen, bro, you got to come to the Jets. We need you.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and like the guy's a complete game changer. You know, he can run every route, but he's a phenomenal double route runner. He runs crisp, beautiful double routes.
Okay, move over Garrett Wilson, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
You know, I got a chance to meet Garrett before. I met Curtis Samuel too, because my little brother.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, my little.
You're
brother
connected. You are connected. Your people need to talk to my people. Okay. Yeah.
I went to my little brother championship game today at Erasmus Hall. That's where Curtis Samuel went from Brooklyn.
Oh yeah.
I got chasing me. I said, listen, man. I said, you gotta come back home. I said, Washington's not for you. Let's just come back home, reunite with Garrett again, and let's get this thing rolling. I was like, because we need somebody opposite of Garrett Wilson. But see, like I feel as you know, being a Jets fan, we give on our young players too early. We have to stop doing that because honestly, I like Jason Pinnock. When we had him,
yeah.
You know, the Robbie Andersons, you know, Leonard Williams. Those guys were young players. We just let them walk for nothing. And I feel for the most part, if we had Leonard Williams and Quentin Williams in the middle in this team in this scheme together, they will wreak havoc week in, week out. When nobody be able to run a ball against us, and you know, inside, you know, it'll collapse early. But hey, I love Jermaine Johnson. He took a tremendous lead. I love where he's going. I say move on from Carl Lawson, and we got to bring Bugatti Bryce back. Bryce Hall.
Oh yes.
He has to. He has to really, get paid, and he has to play. I like to get, I like the D line. We got JFM.
Oh, sure.
Will McDonald. He's only going to get better with more reps. A
Mm-hmm.
linebacker cool. I don't got to say much. Sherwood, Mosley, Quincy, and I would say let's bring in a young safety. Look, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Jordan Whitehead, he can play, somewhat okay in coverage, but he's not a good tackler. It's too many times I watch him and he's not tackling and wrapping up. He's just shoulder tackling. No, we need completely wrap up. Everybody fly to the ball. We need that because it's a lot of drives that we could have ended, but shoulder tackling, and that's what really killed us. And Mekhi Becton, I liked him coming out of college, but I wanted worse. Tristan Wirfs, I believe.
Oh yes.
Tristan Wirfs was the better tackle in that draft class. Don't get me wrong, Mekhi Becton, he was athletic, but Tristan Wirfs for a long-term tackle, that's who I wanted. Because come on, Tristan Wirfs, it shows who has a better career. Tristan Wirfs is better hands down.
Yeah, he's been an All-Pro. Yeah, absolutely, no question.
Exactly my point. So it's like, all right, cool. Carter Warren, he's only gonna get better. I'm pretty sure. Don't give up on him, but keep him. Keep giving him his reps, and let him get. He probably grow a little more in the body and develop. But we got a bright future. We do. One thing I can sit there and say, we do have a bright future as an organization, but it's like mind-boggling, wow, what are you guys doing? I was gonna go to the game today. I was gonna go to the game today. I was like, you know what?
Thank God you didn't.
Exactly, because I would lost my mind. I was like, let me go to my little brother's championship game.
Yeah.
I hear a lot from my friends that's Steelers fans, Ravens fans. You guys are terrible. You guys are like a JV team. You guys gotta do better. And I can't get mad at that because it's true. Like we do like a JV team in the NFL. We have to do better. Let's keep our players. Let's bring a coach in who's gonna Bieniemy should have been got hired. He was like one of the first candidates to get interviewed.
He was, yeah.
Dan Campbell, I'm looking like these guys are turning franchises around. How we just let these guys out the building without a deal? Mike McCarthy, a Super Bowl winning coach. That's somebody he knows it's like to win a Super Bowl in this era, the 2000 era. So it's like, come on, we need change. We just gotta. Don't get me wrong. The best defensive coach I felt we had was Rex Ryan.
Of course,
hands down. But we have to get an offensive minded. Bieniemy. Dan Campbell, he's good on both. He make good adjustments offensively, defensively. He revived Jared Goff's career. Harbaugh, he revived Alex Smith's career before the concussion, before Captain took over. So we those type of coaches we need. And then not only that, they were fundamentally sound teams. Like you watch the defense, great at tackling. Everybody's wrapping up. Everybody's flying to the ball. We got the athleticism on our defense, but we have to finish the job. We have to, we got to insert our will against the run. We got to be more physical. There's no way that we got backup linemen coming in and opening gaps against our defense. We got studs all across the middle. It just don't make sense to me. It's like we have to do better. That's all it really is when it all comes down to it.
Well, Co, you're a friggin' superstar, baby. We want to see you back here on this show very soon. I like the takes. There's some sizzle.
I'll definitely join in more. I'm always joining in the comments, but
I see you.
I'll join in. I'll give my my intake on things. But I'm just honestly, I'm looking forward to the draft.
Me too.
If we can't get a quarterback, I'd rather for us to get 2 offensive linemen, or even if Marvin Harrison Jr. drops, we have to get him.
Oh yes.
There's no ifs and buts about it, because I was upset that we let Jackson Smith and Jigba fall away from us.
We had him right there.
There's no way. I'd rather take an offensive player in that scenario than a defensive lineman. It's like I'm like, what are you thinking?
We need every pick on the offense. Every pick this year, I hope, is on the offensive side of the ball. Give it all.
Exactly, because our defense wasn't our problem.
No.
It's not the defense. We need help offensively.
That's what we do.
Our
offense has been offensive. It's just terrible.
Anemic. We make I think a subpar team look good against our offense.
I know. Falcons are like, come on, man.
Thank you. All right, see, come on, the Falcons. This is what I'm saying. We have to invest in our offense.
Pathetic.
We have to. We got to invest in our offense. The defense isn't the problem. Defense is on the field more than the offense.
They
We
are.
have to change that. That
Mhm.
that has to get changed immediately. But I
Like
definitely want to see Al Woods back. I like that
Yes.
pick. The Quinn Jefferson pickup.
Ooh, yeah, he's been good this year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's time to basically, we gotta put Bryce Huff has to he has to get out there.
Yeah. Pen to
You know,
paper. Let's get that man locked down.
He had to, because him and Jermaine Johnson, when they're out there, it's amazing to see how they
Nasty.
close the quarterback and I mean the pocket, and how they set the quarterback. It's beautiful. Beautiful. I'm like, wow, why not keep them out there together? Don't get me wrong, Lawson, your time is up, bro. Like, it's time to move on.
TikTok. See ya.
It's time to move on. And I like Lawson when he was in
I did too.
but
Yeah.
it's time to move on, bro. Like, it's all right. Let's move on. Let the young guys get in and let them get after it.
Yeah.
Because Jermaine Johnson, he's only going to get better.
I'm so excited for Jermaine, man. He's a freak. He's collapsing the pocket. He just needs more reps, man. Get him back on the field. He's a
he's
freak.
violent against the run. He's very violent against the run. That's what we need on all, from the left to the right. Everybody has to be violent against the point attack against the run. And that's why I'm like, Leonard Williams would have played phenomenal in this system.
It would have been nice.
And look, you know what? Another player who I missed too.
Yeah.
Demario Douglas, Darren Lee. We these are guys. These are home. No, these are in-house guys we had that we just gave up on.
Mm-hmm.
Now they all pros with other organizations. Marcus May looks great in New Orleans.
Yeah, another one.
These are good guys that we just said, whatever. Jason Pinnock, rejuvenated his career with the Giants. And my brother's a Giants fan, so he's y'all stupid. Jason Pinnock, he's great. Y'all dumb. Y'all was like, good guys.
That was stupid. That was stupid.
You see it.
We cut him, and then he goes to Giants and beats a starter immediately. What were we doing? What the hell? Come on, man.
Exactly. See, come on, boy. At least at least I know I'm not going crazy. I know I'm not.
No, it's we're speaking the same language, speaking the same lingo. There's no doubt about it. Cole, thanks for popping on, brother. You got to do this again soon, man.
Listen, I'm gonna pop in more.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, brother. Enjoy your night, pal.
You too, man. Have a good one.
All right, there he is, Co. Phenomenal insight. I love it. That was absolutely terrific. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. I know it sucks, right? A 5-game losing streak or friggin', whatever, 4-8. Like, it sucks. What a cup of suck with extra suck sauce. Okay, this is absolutely garbaggio. But you know what? We're a family, and we do this stuff together, baby. That we support each other. We rally around one another. And that's what we do. That's how we do this thing. So thanks, everybody, for being here. Okay. We're going to have more of these conversations. Feel free to join in. Excuse me. That'll be coming on Boy Green Daily tomorrow morning. We're live every single day, 7:30 in the morning. Like I said, for about 20 minutes. So if you guys would like to jump on that live show, feel free to do so. And to show your support, like I said, like the video, hit subscribe down below. We're trying to build this thing, baby. I've been doing this for about a decade, doing the Jets podcast and video shows. If it's your first time seeing me and meeting me, phenomenal. Whether you're a first-time flyer or multi-time offender, we love y'all the same, baby. And a lot of draft and free agency talk, I imagine, will be coming to hit us. But we'll be breaking down and previewing every game and doing all the jazz every week, all week, every single day. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 7:30. Take care.